We're glad you're here because we get to talk sports. We're going to talk all things draft, talk free agency, NFL-wise. You know what? Who knows? Maybe you're a free agent and you want some advice. You can pop in on that too. We got NHL trade deadline coming up. Are the Avs going to make a move? And if they don't, is that a failure? We'll discuss and find out. And then lastly, but not leastly, are the Nuggets a contender still? Not sure. But as the great Kubiak said, we're fixing to find out. Hang around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Yo, welcome to the show. Let me set the scene. Mile High Sports Symposium, living the dream. Broncos in the house with that orange and blue. Nuggets making moves, watch that altitude crew. Avalanche bringing ice, check the skills they display. Rocky swinging bats, ready for game day. Rapids in the mix, kicking it with style. Buffs bring the heat, put the rivals on trial. Out talking JJT, they got the scoop. Mile High vibes, feel that energy rise. Sports on the menu, watch the crowd mesmerize. From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire.
I feel like we're going to have to add you to the intro. You're not JT. But at this point, who's JT anyway? You know, half the time camera didn't work. What are we
doing here? What are we doing? What kind of program are we running here?
I'm joined by my main man, Chris, who's in for JT, who again, I think that this is the last of the mouth follow-up, but I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So
no,
you know what? If you're getting dental stuff, God bless you. And hope you move forward. But does anyone more acquitted to be able to run and discuss NFL drafty stuff than you? I mean, I'm not. So I'm glad that you're here. How are you, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be back. I think one more episode and I get my name added to the logo.
I mean, I there's got to be something. I got to look at our stuff. You might as well be. You know, every tripod needs a strong third leg, and you might be short and stubby, but you are thick and reliable. And I need that. You know what? I didn't cuss, so
on with the show.
We're gonna roll with it. We're gonna get a couple things out of the way first because I want to get through it. So I want to remind everyone, please and thank you. Go like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm. We appreciate it. But again, we're not the only program on the network. You don't have to turn your dial. You can just leave it right here Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, fun days, run days, whatever you think. We got you covered from Bronco Bros to Viva Los Broncos. Mile High Oukast is a great upcoming show. I mean, we got you all over the place. So please make sure you are supporting the network. And then lastly, go get you some. It's good. It's delicious. I wouldn't say nutritious, but I wouldn't say bad because it doesn't have all of the gross crap. Just some good flavor, some good caffeine. And again, jitterless. I like a little bit of the jitter. That's because I got some problems, but it definitely is a clean mix. So again, use our code over at OBN10 for the Orange and Blue Network 10. Get 10% off, or Bounty X number 10. You know, so do yourself a favor, go get you some because we have more shows later on in the nighttime and you'll be tired. So with that, let's roll into the topics. We're actually going to start with the least fun first. Okay, so we are going to start with the B-Bowl, the Denver Nuggets, who, thanks to Jamal Murray, were able to rip a loss from the jaws of victory, or whatever, against the Utah Jazz on the heels of get smacked around a little bit by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and a gut-wrenching loss to OKC that saw Jokic get fiery, which I'm here for that. I'm here for
100%.
Nikola Jokic, and then subsequent memes to follow, along with you get the occasional Jokic brother sighting. They get scarier. Like, are they just? It's like the steroids have to be like intravenous at this point. They just like sit there and wait. It's just like that. Like, he's gonna get his Thanos glove pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know how this is not common knowledge throughout the league. Is that if you take a cheap shot, you're going to the camera immediately pans to the brothers.
Immediate pants.
They're two dudes you don't want to mess with. They just don't want to mess with.
And then, my worry is, like, when you only see one, like, where's the other one?
Right.
Like, just saying. I don't know, but somebody that admittedly had a pretty challenging upbringing. I did not have a Serbian upbringing. There's hard, and then there's like war-stricken hard. Just saying. That said, I'm worried. I am a glass half full all the time guy. I think JT's rubbing off on me a little bit. The Cam Johnson experiment, I keep like holding out hope that, shoot or shoot, you shoot out of it, and he has not yet. And Aaron Gordon can't get healthy fast enough and is still not back. And Payne Watson is not back. No, and Christian Brown is reluctant offensively, to say the least, and has really not been impactful defensively. Are the Nuggets still contenders?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a tough sell at the moment. Like, these are several games in a row that you should have gotten W's win. Especially, like, I don't expect them to be OKC every single time, but like Utah is somebody they should have won. They came off like the Clippers and the Warriors and those guys are, again, teams you're supposed to beat. So again, Jokic,
especially when the Warriors don't have Steph,
right?
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, so those are teams you're supposed to beat. Like, Benedict Mathurin is not supposed to beat you guys. No. So, I'm actually concerned. So, I like the Tyus Jones signing. I think he brings a steadiness to the point guard room and maybe will help limit the turnovers. But how much is he going to play over like Jamal Murray and Jokic and play or any guard in crunch time? Like, I don't think he's going to play that way. So, it's tough. Like, I think we said last week they cannot be bad at both defense and turnovers. They need to fix one of those issues, and I don't care which one, but you can't be both. And they haven't fixed it yet, so I'm getting concerned. That this is just
they're not getting out in the fast break. You're relying too much on Nikola and Jamal Murray again, and even if Nicola's off just a bit, which he's off just a bit. When you're going from God mode to demigod mode, it's still pretty phenomenal. But you're playing against, again, some of the world's best, and you're going to get the best shots even from the Utah Jazz, who are trying to lose games. Right. And I think that they will get it right. Will they get right and win an NBA championship? My parlay that I put together earlier in the year, not feeling as good about. Do I think that it's like done and I should try and get another one in? No. I still feel pretty good considering just what I think that they can be. You and I talked about it last week, where this is still probably the best collection of players that Nikola Jokic has had. And I think without the full complement, with Aaron Gordon and P. Watt back, I'm not ready to throw in the towel. And I think it would be kind of a fool's errand to do so. They will only have so much, though, a run up for this team to really show what they can do. And if we remember the beginning of the year, I mean, it looked effortless. The ball was moving at a ridiculous pace. They were playing good defense. And that was without Peyton Watson, he was getting small reserve minutes, and they were an absolute unit. And you can see how you develop some depth now. And when guys come back, at least that's a good problem to have. So I think there's cases to be made that this still is a team. If you go over to ESPN.com and they're looking at the odds for Western Conference winner. Okay, so OKC is first. Where do you think Denver is?
Probably, I would say 3 or 4, I would imagine, for the Western Conference.
Yeah. Nope. Second.
Really?
Plus 380. So, yep. Yeah. And San Antonio plus 475. So not, in terms of betting odds, a pretty good distance away. When we look at NBA Finals, where do you think they are at being the NBA, as it says in ESPN, the NBA championship winner?
Again, I'm going to say 3 or 4.
Yeah. I mean, pretty good. 2 plus 600.
They don't believe
San Antonio at plus
800.
Interesting. No. Yeah. They Boston is the first Eastern Conference team at 4th. So after San Antonio plus 900, Cleveland plus 1200, Detroit plus 1500, New York plus 1600. Then you got Houston at plus 22. So the Nuggets are still, at least, it's seen to really be the 1B to OKC's 1A. And so I think at least the basketball community perspective is they're not healthy, and that's why they're not playing well. I agree with that. It's hard, though, to not feel a certain way. Watching your team struggle at things that they haven't struggled. David Adelman looks out of scope a bit, or at least they're not responding. I think the biggest concern that I saw was a little bit better this last game, but definitely the game against Minnesota. When you watch Minnesota come off the court, right, they're jumping, high-fiving, and just heads down. And the Nuggets at that point in time were down 3. And just 2 totally different teams. And I know, if you go on a run, you're not coming off the floor pumped, you're down 3, give up 8 points in a row or whatever it was. But that was the feel for a lot of the game, even when, when the Nuggets were up 5 or up. And that to me is, I don't know that the team it has the mojo and it happens, when you stack up wins and guys hit shots. So it makes sense about why it's not there. But I don't know that they have a guy that's going to bring it there without AG back.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the key points, and the reason why they are still so highly thought of in the gambling community is that the expectation is that AG is going to come back and and fix a lot of these defensive issues, which again it may happen. I'm hoping he's not rusty. I'm hoping that injury doesn't linger. So I guess maybe I'm playing the J2 role where I'm a little bit more pessimistic, but I still think they can make noise in the playoffs. But to me, this doesn't look something does not look right, and I don't think it's just AG and Peyton Watson missing. There's something going on where I think Jokic needs to shoot out of his slump, because he's been slumping a little bit from 3-point range for sure these last couple games, and then again, it's him and Jamal Murray have just been turning the ball over, which is usually not the case, and it has been this season. So,
like you said, we can't turn the ball over and play not good defense.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but if you're in the NFL and you lead the league in turnovers and your defense isn't good, it's hard to win. I wish there was
fan, I know.
Yeah, right. Doesn't matter. You put up 40, but they put up 50, and for the Nuggets, that's, and especially during crunch time, right? It's the inconsistencies are happening throughout, and then accentuated down. It was the issue against OKC, right? OKC's hitting shots, running offensive sets, clean offensive sets, getting shots off, Nuggets fumbling, bumbling, and stumbling. But let's transition to their partners of crime ish in at Ball Arena. The Colorado Avalanche, who are on an upswing, which last time that we chatted, the Avs were, I was a little bit more worried there than I was with the Nuggets. Not a ton, but some couple resounding wins. Now 41-10, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's no longer at like historic crazy stretch, but it's still pretty dang good. And guys are clicking a little bit. Friday, I believe, is the trade deadline for the NHL, which for some of you who don't know what that is, it's the National Hockey League. The Avs should, I think both you and I agree, should make a move. They should. They need to. I believe it a little bit more in terms of like I think if they don't, that we are failing. The Nathan MacKinnon era, especially because this front office has made a commitment to really being that. I know Chris McFarland was at Calgary's game in California, watching presumably Nazem Kadri. I don't know who else he would be. Maybe just catching a game, but I would think that would be the case. But so I think it's something's in the cards. To what degree? Who knows? We'll find out. But maybe for you, and you can kick it back because I know we've talked about some potential targets. Do you think that the team needs? What do you think the team needs? If you were to say, sum up kind of the next move, what are they missing that we hope gets addressed? If you were to kind of sum it up in an adjective, a skill set, a culture fit, whatever that might be. What do you think that this team needs to look for in their, presumably, the next and maybe final edition?
Yeah, I think we both agree that they need to make one more edition. I would push back on we're failing Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon because it's really hard to say we're failing them when we're still, first in the Western Conference and, 6 points clear of the next team. So, but they can still use some, and I'll use the word juice off the second and third lines. I think, getting another, they kind of addressed the physicality of the defenseman with the last trade that they made. And again, getting another physical defenseman would not be the worst thing in the world. But I still think, some juice on that second, third line, I think would be exactly what we're looking on. So,
yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's kind of assuming you can't get both, right? Assuming you can't get grit, toughness, whatever that might be, and scoring punch. It's kind of you probably can get one. I think you and I both had talked about Evander Kane and being an option. I think can provide both.
Yep.
Ryan O'Reilly, who I'd love for that. It presumably isn't or won't happen, even though I think financially it would make sense too. Two-way player. Nazem Kadri, which I think is becoming more real. The him fitting in, I think that second, third line punch that you're talking about, that if there's any more grit and fortitude, a guy that you want on your team and not against, it's Nazem Kadri. So it at least seems ish like there's some of those options to be able to get both. In my opinion, I do think it's a failure. I'm going to stand on business. Normally I would be like, I did, because something is missing currently, and I think the options that are out there are gettable. It's not we got to go get a superstar. It is we got to get. We have to solidify the armor, and I think part of that is to not give Nathan and like I know him first, Nathan, McKinnon and McCarr and Gabe like outs. Hey, we had Val drama, and then we had we got Dallas in the first, and that was the Western Conference Finals, which didn't end up being accurate at all. And so to me, it's a little bit to put pressure on those guys and saying, again, we are giving you
all
the best that we can give you.
Yeah.
And because the options are gettable, because it's Ryan O'Reilly, who's 36, Evander Kane, who's in his 30s. I mean, it's guys that are like, we're not trying to get a 26-year-old superstar. It is guys that can be had, and even probably I'd even say another tier. Like you said, getting a guy that even is a good third line option, maybe not much more than that. I think again, solidifying depth and doing so with grit, I think provides less excuses or more definitives to be able to put the pressure on the players, which in my opinion is the way that it should go. Chris McFarland's job is to give, and Bednar, let's call it like it is. And
100%.
I'm not calling for anyone's jobs yet or anything like that, but as a coach, all you can ask for is give me everything that I need to win. And if anyone does it better, at least in the state of Colorado, I think the Avalanche do it the best, and then probably the hardest sport to do it.
Yeah.
Hard cap. You got the best player in the world, arguably the second best player in the world. You have a Stanley Cup winning coach. You got 8 Olympians. What? Like at what point? I want the accountability to hit where the players go, because in the end they got to win it on the ice, and I think winners want that too. And I think Nathan McKinnon probably would say that. And it's their time to be there, and I think that it's doable. It's doable.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. The only thing I will push back on is we have 8 Olympians, so Chris McFarland has gotten tools for Bednar to use, and
but some countries are small,
Well, let's crap on our international brethren. That sounds great.
As though I'm I was one phone call away from
right. Exactly. You were this close to being the left winger of Serbia.
I mean,
they didn't call.
I have a few. I'm got some regions in my DNA. Most of them didn't make the Olympics. So
yeah. Well, I guess the point is I think it's hard to say. Chris McFarland has not done. Like, I agree, there's a move to be made, so he should probably.
Yeah, I think Chris McFarland has done everything. I think
he has provided like Olympians. He's the number one seed in the Western Conference, despite the problems that they've had with injuries in the goal. So I mean, that's pretty remarkable. So I would just push back that I think he's doing.
I like that. I agree, and maybe changing it from he set precedents that he will do whatever it takes.
The expectation is that the
expectation, and so he's delivered. Whether it's Mikko, like there isn't a deal that he won't make, or at least if you trade Mikko 6 weeks before the trade deadline, to me at least it goes to show that you are willing to. I'll pull the trigger if I think that we're going to be a better team. No one's off limits. Ish, and probably even all of them. Just no one could meet the price for McCarr or McKinnon. If someone's like, I'll give you our team. And so because I know that I know that based on the evidence. So I choose to believe that that's the expectation. Then if that trade deadline comes in a whimper, in my opinion, you've set the example. It's like the Dodgers. Like if the Dodgers went to the trade deadline and they didn't make a move, like I'd be shocked. I'd be like, are you giving up? We're in the first in the National League. Yeah, but right, like your third left arm bullpen guy, like it just, and I know but when you set the expectation, you set the goalpost for yourself to then underdeliver and be like, well, but I've done it really good the last couple of years. Happy though, because you went out the first, so Olympians be damned. You have one championship, and to be honest, the thing that's missing on this team, and Brock Nelson has brought some of that back, but not. Brock's like classy, like he's tough, like he's like Western, like Tombstone, right? He's like Kurt Russell, like just he's business but class. We need a little bit of Doc Hall. We need Val. We need Val. Someone needs to be a Huckleberry, and if anyone can throw that line out in the NHL right now, it's Nazem Kadri or Ryan O'Reilly. He's got no teeth. Like, yeah, he'll yeah. How do you have that much money and not have teeth? Does anyone, hockey fans all over, like, is it that you wait till you're done and you're like, because there's no point in getting them knocked out again? Like Eric Johnson hasn't filled in his space.
Badge of honor, man. It's a badge of honor.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it's like the culture, right? Like it is its own society of expectations. But if anyone has played hockey and really appreciates and loves that aspect of it, let me know, because I don't see it. And I know one of the biggest fears, especially like nightmares that adults have, is losing our teeth. Like that stuff will wake you up in a moment. Like when your teeth comes out, that usually means you have some significant stuff going on. So if you need anything, let me know. I'll talk to you about it. But if you were to water pistol to your head, because I'm not here to breed violence, we blink. It's Saturday morning. We're in our group chat. Who's the Av?
I'm going to put my eggs in the Evander Kane basket. I mentioned him 2 weeks ago. That's the guy that I think just has that Doc Holliday gravitas in the playoffs. So let's get that done. So I'll put my bags in that basket.
I like it. And before I answer that, just so everyone knows, the Avalanche are significant favorites to win the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Which is when I say significant, so over at ESPN, odds by DraftKings, not a sponsor, but if you want to be, let me know. They are plus 180, which when you look at betting odds for something that with the field that big, it's not great. Vegas coming up second at 380, which is still a pretty good number. If you were to, that's a I'd be shooting not at that total, that's for sure. Then you go over to the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference, Tampa Bay plus 175 to win the Eastern Conference. So it looks like, as the odds have it, because of course the two top Stanley Cup favorites are Colorado Avalanche 330 and Tampa Bay at 380, followed by Carolina and Vegas. So those are your final four. If things were to play out in the betting landscape, we know that doesn't work that way. But usually if there's a sport where the best team wins more often, it is, in my opinion, it's hockey. It is the best playoffs. There's less flukes. Even if the 8th seed wins, it is a vetted and true championship. It's not a fluke. It's not they had a 3-game run. It's you got to win 16 games in that in that sport to be a champion. And so that's my feeling. I think it's me, Kadri. I think unless there's it's to be honest with you, if any of the names that I said and probably a few more, and I don't even know if I'm not on they got to get this guy or even like these two.
Yeah.
If they address, right, and some of it is just selling it to your team again, like I believe in you, we're going for it. Believe in you, we're going for it. And I think, that goes a long way too in just locker rooms, right? Like that's the message that you're sending is, I don't care about next year. I'm giving it right.
We're in.
We're in
the middle.
Yep. And here's where we're at. And that's again why I think it would be a failure, because they've done it so much and this team is that good to not do that. If they don't, can they still win the Yeah.
100%.
They're the favorite too, but favorites, it's not one on paper or the things. And so with that, I'm going to just do a quick little plug, quasi-personal plug / I just got good peeps here in our community. a friend of my son and their family is going through some tough stuff. John on the left has significant cancer. Stage 4, it's moved to both sides of his brain. And so, as you can imagine, it's a challenge. And so the family is needing some help. So I got some hope. I'm going to go ahead and share just a little bit, and I'll send stuff in the chat, and obviously I'll tweet it out. And so if you're able to even just sharing it when I throw it out there, I'll throw it out from my Twitter account, X account, as well as I'll throw it in the chat. But even sharing it would be super huge. It going through a lot. If any of you dealt with cancer, it's pretty significant. They have a military and they have a GoFundMe. And so if you could, I know I would appreciate it. They would appreciate it for sure. Trying to get all the help they can get, but I think all of us know a lot of stuff is limited, and especially in today's landscape of healthcare, et cetera. We have to do a lot of the good work that our system should help out with, which isn't cool. And it is that way now, and they need it. So thanks for letting me have a moment of that to be able to do.
If you can donate, please do so. So
yeah, please
be
do.
a good person.
Yep. Yeah. And again, if you can't, share it. That kind of stuff is huge. I know money is tight for all of us, and don't expect people to move mountains, but if you're able to share, that'd go a long way. So appreciate you, Chris. Thanks for letting me have a moment. And sports fam, appreciate you listening and just being good peeps. I know when I went through some significant stuff in our house, this community, the Twitter community, actually was really huge in helping us stay afloat and focused on keeping things, keeping the first thing. And so not expecting miracles, but I know good people are out there because they helped me. So appreciate you all. And with that hard transition, I'm not gonna do it.
Seamless.
Not gonna do what I normally do, is like try and thread it and then do something gross and inappropriate. All right, so sports. So again, huge caveat being, Chris is a Cowboys fan.
I am.
So that to be said, he has I think a wider scope of his knowledge because he's gotten roped into so many Broncos conversations that it's not necessarily that he roots for the Broncos. It's like he has to know that stuff or we won't talk to him about sports. And so, then he'll like loop us in with Cowboy stuff, all the good things. But Chris, since I have known him again, is just somebody that's really dialed in and like a passion for the administration side. So free agency, the draft, all that stuff. So super pumped because I know what you can bring to it. And then, kind of giving you a little bit of credit of your scope isn't just even like Broncos fit, even though we'll talk about Bronco-centric focus, obviously, but even just in totality, like this is a good player in general. So if people ever get I don't know if that's a good fit it might not be, but it doesn't mean that I'm not just talking about a good player.
Yep.
Yeah. Might not be a good fit, might not, but sometimes good players are good players. So with that, we're going to talk about Broncos offseason arrives next Monday, correct?
That it does.
Right.
So
the legal tampering period, because tampering, which would be illegal, it's like a legal term. It's like a illegal thing.
Right.
So no one's talking now. I want everyone to no.
Right, as if Jerry Jones didn't pull up to a combine.
Let's not. I think all of us understand now that the rich have their own set of rules. I think we're all at least getting some of that collectively with things. Been that way in the NFL forever. Yep, of course it is. Good. All that good stuff. So with that, free agency comes first. Maybe do you want to go there first?
Yeah, let's do that
first. All right, so let's go. So since free agency comes first, which I appreciate. I think other sports should do better. Just NFL, all of the stuff I don't like about it. There's a lot of stuff I like about it, especially in comparison. So the Broncos are going to be expected to make some moves. They're going to get an offensive playmaker, to whatever that means. Someone that can do good stuff with the football in their hands. that might look different based on the markets. The running back market is shrinking as we speak. The Broncos need a running back per, Zach Stevens, several other folks. That's the first place the Broncos are going to go for a running back, as well as probably a receiver and maybe a tight end, because the need of the team is you got to help now. You don't have time to build up stuff. And it doesn't mean that they won't draft, but those are positions that I believe that they're going to attack based on really good stuff that I've heard from folks that are smarter than me. And then some things to note, we do have some pending free agents, especially in the linebacker room, that without them returning, the group is really bare. So where do you want to start in our free agent talk?
Sure. Let's zoom out just for 5 minutes and try and tackle where we think the Broncos are as an organization. So in my opinion, and obviously, as you prefaced, I'm not a Broncos fan, but I understand kind of where they are in the scope of at least the AFC. I believe
you might have a better view because you're not diving in it and not a part of the moment to moment dialogue.
I'm not in the
So here we are.
In my opinion, they are a Super Bowl contender. I mean, I think you can make a legitimate argument that they were one Bo Nix injury away from being the AFC representative. And if you look at the contenders around the AFC, you have the Patriots, who just released Stephon Diggs today, so they're going to be looking for an offensive playmaker. The Ravens have a new coaching staff. The Bills have a new coaching staff. The Chiefs just traded today an all-pro cornerback. So it kind of looks like maybe they're doing a retooling thing that may take a minute to gel. So I think you are in a unique position to take advantage of Bo Nix's rookie contract and actually go make some noise and be a Super Bowl contender in the AFC. And if you had asked me at the start of this year's playoffs, I wouldn't have said that was the case because I thought they were a deeply flawed team. And I still think they have flaws, but I think they're in a unique space in order to fix those flaws fairly quickly. So that's where I think the Broncos are in general.
Yeah, so, I think that's great. I think recognizing too, in my opinion, they can't stand pat because the other teams aren't going to just wait. Potentially, this is the Joe Burrow healthy for a year season, which with those skill
that
players,
coaching staff has not transitioned over, so you never know which one.
I mean, and with that guy, he's just when he plays, they're good, and so if he plays, that team will be better. The Steelers were a functional outfit, and if Aaron Rodgers comes back, no need to think that they wouldn't at least be a thorn.
But again, new coaching staff in Pittsburgh.
New coaching staff. Yep. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot going on with that. I do think that the Broncos are, in my opinion, probably have the least amount to do in terms of of establishing the floor or reestablishing or elevating the floor.
Yep.
I think top end talent, though, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I think they have a good amount to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Stephon Diggs, again, as I was told, and I think it was reported, the Broncos were in the final stages of his services when he went to New England. So I wouldn't be shocked. That wasn't one that we pre-gamed for. But I wouldn't be shocked if they kick the tires on that. We'll see based on that stuff. But they need an elite playmaker. They need a guy that says and demands and is warranted, not just demands. I think production suggests, right? If you give them the ball, good stuff happens.
Yeah, so something the defense is doing.
And they have good receivers now. I'd say good. That's it. Courtland Sutton is maybe really good, but they have good receivers. So going and getting more good receivers is a fool's errand. It's a waste of money, right? Why go get another number 2 or number 3 guy when you have a bunch of number 2 and number 3 guys? You either got to raise the roof significantly or use those resources to build the team in other places that will help do that. So they're in a place, and I think they're in a window. You got 3 years before Bo Nix is making non-rookie level money, and maybe even you add a couple of years in there because you can you can push money and that kind of stuff, but those checks will come due. And so they're in a window, and they're in a window now, and I expect them to operate accordingly. And let me ask you the question first, because before you ask me,
Sure.
If you were running a team, so you're the Denver Broncos, you're George Payton, Sean Payton today, you can only do one or the other. So you can go get, and it's achievable, not even talking like finances or trade or what have you.
Sure.
You go get a top flight, top 10 wide receiver, or you can get a good, well-rounded, multi-dimensional tight end and a good running back. So you solidify kind of the run game, or you get top flight receiver for the pass game, but you can only do one.
Receiver. And I don't even think it's remotely.
Yeah, you didn't take long to think about it. You were like,
yeah, you want to maximize. Again, if we're going to develop Bo Nix, and we think he's the guy, and I think both you and I agree that he's going to. We hope he develops into that. Then you need to surround him with receivers that are going to produce for him. He can't be question marks. I mean, as you like Pat Bryant, I'm a little more I have some more questions about him. Like, you can't roll out Pat Bryant as your wide receiver 2 and pretend that that's good enough, and Marvin Mims in the slot and pretend that's good enough. That's just not. So I think you can still roll out, RJ Harvey and, running back to be named, in the backfield, but you need to go get a difference maker wide receiver. And I am similarly to the Chiefs saying, or the Rams saying, here's a first round pick, give me an asset. Like, go get AJ Brown, go get DJ Moore, go get, Brian Thomas, whoever it is, whoever's on the market, go get that guy. Use your draft capital wisely to go do that, and just go do it. So,
okay. It's weird. I'm a former quarterback in me. I would rather have them have a solid running game, and part of it, I think that maybe that's the old school Nick. That's like if you control the line of scrimmage, you can win. I mean, you saw it, Seattle, right? They weren't a good running team to start the year, and they got goodish and then took off. And good defense won them a Super Bowl, which I think in a game-to-game playoff basis, I think is I think that was the difference maker. I think them being able to run the ball. I think Sam Darnold in the playoffs, especially against the Rams, was phenomenal. But I think that gave them the extra element, right? That Bo Nix was good, especially I think he carried the team after JK's injury. He stepped his game up, and I think all of the stats would suggest it. Broken ankle away from them being in the Super Bowl. Do they win that Super Bowl with that run game? Nope. So all that to be said, but also, I'll give you credit. That's with that receiving core. What if they had AJ Brown also and Bo Nix with running game? You know what? I like that. I like that argument of that because, again, if you just have more depth, if you have 4 wide receivers and Evan Ingram out there, and your top one now is whoever, your number 2 is Cortland, your number 3 is, again, just matchup dependent, which is what Sean Payton's offense, whether it's Davis Webb or not, is a matchup-based offense. And so the better your players are on the field, the better opportunity you have to exploit their weakest, your best matchup. So you know what? You got me. I'm gonna do that. I think, we're gonna do that. Yeah. So the Broncos are gonna get a top flight receiver. Boom, happening. All right.
Yeah, I think even if you go out and sign Diggs, I think Diggs and Sutton is infinitely more dangerous than, maybe a Tyler Algier or Travis Etienne or something like that. I know they're supposed to spend big on Ken Walker, or at least that's the rumor that's out there, is they're going to try and make a splash with Ken Walker, which is fine. But again, I'm trying to develop Bo Nix into the best quarterback he can be, and I think you do that by surrounding him with actionable weapons.
Okay, I like it. I think it's a good problem to have, because I also assume that they're going to try and do both. So it's fun to debate the thing. But in the NFL, there is a salary cap. Get around it a little bit. Not as much as, not as easy as some other sports, but definitely real. And so With that, let's go to the next one. Do you got something on the top, or do you want me to throw a couple more things out?
Yeah, why don't we debate the free agent running backs that are out there, because that seems to be the Big E Bronco wants to talk about running backs. So let's talk about it.
Let's do it. He likes his backs, and he cannot lie. And I actually put in some effort this week in looking at some stuff. So
good for you
to flex my doctor brain muscles.
So we've got Ken Walker at $9 million. Kenneth Walker, $9 million. These are all Spotrac market value numbers.
Yep.
Travis Etienne at 6. Rico Dowdle at 6. Or Tyler Algier at like 5.5. What are we doing? Like which are you?
Really quick, or would you put JK in there too?
Yeah, we can put JK.
Or do we want to we just want to talk? Do we want to, because it's more fun to talk about what we don't, right? It's like,
JK is only valued 2.5 because he obviously can't say anything.
See, it's interesting. Yeah, because I found it'd probably be more in the Tyler Algier average of like 4 to 5 with the prove it. I think his play would warrant. He's probably an $8 million a year running back if he's healthy, but he's not. So let's leave JK out, to be honest, because I think we already know what JK can do, and to be honest, it's not as much fun to debate. The chick that we know versus the chick that might be around the corner.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about him. You want to go through them individually, or you want to hit just who do we like? Who do we want?
Sure. So I am about there's been a lot of chatter about Tyler Algier from Broncos country, and I completely understand why. I mean, he doesn't fumble. He's always healthy, and he's been productive. I wonder how explosive he is. So if we're talking about getting a dynamic playmaker and raising the ceiling of the team, is Tyler Algier that guy? And because I would think that Ken Walker has proven that he can be an explosive running back. I think Travis Etienne had a nice season last year where he proved he was an explosive running back. So I'm more of go after an Etienne or a Walker than I am an Algier. But as friend of the show, Zach Seegers, has mentioned before, the pass pro with Kenneth Walker has been kind of an issue, and it's also something that the Broncos are looking for.
Yep.
So I totally get it. But I think we need to raise the floor, like you were saying.
Yeah, if all things are equal, you want a guy that is going to be a good pass protector. You also aren't going to not bring in a dynamic difference maker because he is a B-level or C-level pass protector. Sean Payton and Davis Webb have the egos, I assume, to be like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Didn't bring Evan Ingram here to block. Did they figure him out yet? I wouldn't say yes, but their egos would suggest that that's how they decipher stuff. I would also identify that last year was Tyler Algier's worst year. He has declined. A ton of that is the ascension of Bijan Robinson, 100%. But you got to be able to go off the information that you got. He averaged 3.6 yards a carry last year, which it's not good.
Not great, Bob.
And Bijan Robinson averaged much better. So there's a significant difference in that. And that, again, is by far his worst as a pro. Year before, 4.7. His rookie year where he had over 1,000 yards, 4.9. And so maybe it's an aberration. But again, would I be mad if they went and got Tyler Algier? No. If they go get AJ Brown, you're using your cap. So if you're like, I have this much cap space for those two positions, we go get an elite receiver. Yeah, 100%. But in a vacuum, I want JK more than Tyler Algier. I think JK. So I think if that's the case, I'd throw him out of it. I'm coming much more around to the Travis Etienne than I was before, and even more so, to be honest, than Kenneth Walker. And here's the why. One, I do think contractually he will come in at a better number, just because he's not the reigning Super Bowl MVP, which it just is that way. And if I recall, Kenneth Walker is younger. And so I think that there is some understanding or some correlation to be able to be made there. So with those things being true, Travis Etienne has been 1,000-yard running back I think 3 out of his first 4 years, and the only year he wasn't, he got hurt, which is a strike against him for sure. But Kenneth Walker's got hurt more, and soft tissue injuries, etc. And Zach Charbonnet had a pretty extensive role for that team, and probably the who is the most impactful offensive weapon in the playoff for them. That probably changes if Charbonnet is available in the Super Bowl. And so, they like him so much. Kenneth Walker is expendable at this point, which I think goes to say a ton. And so I like what ETN has done over time. And some of those Jaguar teams were terrible.
Yeah.
And to be able to be an impactful player, a guy that does have good speed. I mean, I, as a Florida State fan, watched him at Clemson and hated him for sure. So me saying this, though, like I would take him, hopefully goes to show how much I think it would be a good player. And he does everything well. And so I think you don't have to take him off the field on third down. You should, because I think RJ Harvey is a better matchup. But, 2-minute and things like that, you can keep your best running back on the field because he can do all of the things. And therefore, at least you have, and even with RJ Harvey, if you believe he's the future of RB1, then they're interchangeable versus telegraphing what you're doing when Jalil's out there or Tyler Baday's out there. When those two were out there, it was a absolute tell what they were going to do on a consistent basis. And I think a guy like that coming in for all of the reasons I said, in my opinion, he is now my 1A, which was not the case when we started. I think he was my 3.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to bounce a question off of you. How much do we care about the number, like the contract number? If it's 3 years, $36 million,
because running backs, that number is small, period, right? And it's kind of the same with linebackers. When we talk about like Alex Singleton coming back, those positions are under financially, the cap number is just going to be relatively low, period. Even the guys in the higher up. So what that number is, I care when comparing apple to the apple. Like if you're going to get the same production, I would rather spend less for it. But that is the only real comparison. I think outside of that, I don't care. I think getting the best player or the best fit is the most important. Money be damned, because the money for that role and who you're going to get, what's $8 to $10 million for a guy that, gets you 1,000 yards and 400 yards receiving, right? Like, in what other role are you going to get that kind of production for the dollar amount that you're going to spend, right? We're talking about going and getting Stephon Diggs, who's just freshly cut. It's probably going to at least be 25 a year. And
he was 30 last year. Yep.
Yeah. So. Right. And so for the production and like all the things, and obviously there's the other stuff that it does to manipulate and blah, 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 and free up. But having a competent running back significantly impacts how the defense has to honor your fronts and all those things. So I think that's a really good question. I only apples to apples, and even that, fit and getting the best player matter the most. So I think that the Broncos are going to come away. I think that they're going to come away with either Kenneth Walker or Travis Etienne in the first 48 hours. And I think if they don't, that would be a miss. It would be a miss because of that reason what you just said. Money isn't going to be a lot.
I think it's pretty easy to tell that like they're going to do. I think they're willing. At least the tea leaves say that they're going to do something either in the draft or the free agency to address the running back and get a dude and not just a guy who fills in. So I agree with Big E Bronco that I think they're going to go whale hunting at that position. So spend some capital.
Yeah, but whale hunting, you mean? Big game.
They're going to go out and like they're either going to get a Price or I'm sorry, not a Jadarian Price or like Emmett Johnson in the draft, or they're going to go and say we're going to spend on Ken Walker or Etienne or somebody. Like they're going to spend some capital there.
And I think that, they are going to do both. So they probably aren't going to use day 1 or 2 if they go out and spend on Kenneth Walker, but probably a third or a fourth because they cannot be in a similar spot to last year. I would rather hurt RJ's feelings and have it be a crowded backfield that you feel good that you can withstand an injury, that you can be that you're not losing much if a guy comes off the field, and have him step his game up, then coddle a running back in a Super Bowl window.
Also, the cream always rises, so
100%.
the best players will play. So
100%.
don't worry about Harvey. Harvey really wants
the one sport.
Yeah, go out and compete.
Yep.
Do you have time? Do we have time for a game?
Yeah. Well, did you say your one? Did you say who you wanted out of those? If you were,
yeah, I think if I'm being honest, I think Ken Walker has more juice, and I think is younger, like you identified, and I think he's a better fit with RJ Harvey. I think Ken Walker is that first and second down running back, and then you can say Harvey, your role is third down, and you better get better at pass pro. So otherwise, we'd have to take you off the field. So
love it.
So okay, so time for a game. So this is a draft game, and since the combine, there's been a ton of mock drafts that have come out in the first and second rounds, kind of wandering around. Dane Brugler mocked Emmanuel Neal Warren, who's a safety, in the first round to the Broncos, and then Eli Stowers, who is the Vanderbilt tight end, to the Broncos, which I thought was interesting. So I'm going to give you a couple scenarios, and I'm going to want you to pick. So here are the scenarios that I'm going to pitch you. So first scenario is Peter Woods, defensive tackle, Clemson, and Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker, Texas Tech. Second scenario is Denzel Boston, wide receiver, Washington, and Jennings Dunker, the lineman from Iowa. Third scenario is Emmanuel McNeil Warren and Jadarian, who is the safety from, I believe, Toledo, and then Jadarian Price from running back from Notre Dame. Last scenario is C.J. Allen, linebacker, Georgia, Eli Stowers. I think it's Stowers, tight end, Vanderbilt. Where are we going?
Give me the first group again one more time.
Okay. Peter Woods, defensive tackle, Clemson. Yeah. Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker, Texas Tech.
Ooh. Yeah.
Boston, wide receiver. Washington, Dunker, lineman, Iowa. McNeil Warren, the safety. Jadarian Price, running back. C.J. Allen, linebacker. Eli Stowers, Vanderbilt, tight end.
That's good. I'm such a because you know what? I'm going to pick this twice because I would do it. I think that the Broncos are going to address some of the offensive needs in free agency. I think that's already going to happen. So
I want to say let's do this without assuming they do anything in free agency. So
and I as I was saying that before, I was like, to be honest, I think this is my answer anyway. I think Peter Woods and Jacob Rodriguez, my opinion, is they're getting the best two players. You know, for probably the last two seasons, Peter Woods was mocked top 10. And lack of production and some of those things. And it may be, the prospect fatigue kind of thing, right? You talk about a guy, and if he's not always ascending, you kind of get tired. And then there's Jacob Rodriguez, who is ascending, and it's a position that the Broncos haven't really developed in a long time. And so having a sideline to sideline guy who's just absolutely, productive and didn't have really a hole in his game. Mind you, he's not like a 6'3", 250 thumper, but he's a guy that made every tackle, was good in coverage, tested real well, which I didn't think he was going to test as well as he did, and he was pretty phenomenal. And so assuming that that the Broncos are picking it where they're picking and all of that stuff, that's my pairing. It sucks. It's like I wish it was like a sexier pick, but that one to me is and
you're not really addressing the offensive playmaker needs. But that's interesting. Yeah, I agree.
I know.
That's one of the best players. So,
well, I like that though. That's tough.
Right.
Tough because it's what do they need to do in this offseason? Have more playmakers on offense. What should they do in the draft? Draft those two defensive guys.
Yeah, and make that defense even nastier.
Again, make strength to strength, right? Alleviate it's don't give us excuses, right? Like, nope, you can't tell me that the defense fell off.
Yep.
All that stuff. But yeah, I love it. That was good. That was good. That's harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Who's your two? Who's your two?
I think I agree with you that like Peter Woods and Jacob Rodriguez would be my pick because I like them as players better. I do have a nod towards McNeil Warren and Jadarian Price because I think running back is, especially in this draft, is not great. So there's a lot of tier breaks, and I think Jadarian Price is in that tier that you need to go get a guy. So and I think it's easier for him to transition and be raise the ceiling of that room because he does the things that RJ Harvey may not. So I think that would be a perfect marriage of them. So, and I think McNeil Warren is pretty good. I think he's got some instincts and some playmaking ability to him. So I'm kind of excited.
And he's a big physical specimen, and Nick Emenwari, I think the NFL overthought, and he made that defense nasty, kind of during games, like that kind of stuff.
He didn't test as well as Emenwari did, but he's definitely got better instincts.
Right. Yeah. Better football player, but again, 6'3" or whatever. We'll say like a guy that you can move around, has shown to have a pretty complete game. So I love it. That was good. What? Did you got any more games?
No, that was the only one I had for.
That was a good one.
Yeah. So
that's good. All right. I'm going to ask you then.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to give you one more couple before we go. Okay. So, yeah. All right. Would you, if you're the Broncos, okay, it sounds like the projected cost, so to go get A.J. Brown, so Stephon Diggs signed super quick. George Pickens is obviously, as you know, got the franchise tender. Broncos don't negotiate a deal, blah, blah. So those guys are all off the table.
Sure.
So in my opinion, A.J. Brown, at least trade-wise, is the most accessible 1A-ish receiver on the market.
Yep.
And maybe we can dive in there. The projected cost is a 1, a 4, and then a day 3 pick for next year, which, whatever. I had my initial was like, dang, that's a lot. That's more than he went for when he went from Tennessee to Philadelphia. And then I thought about it again, and I was like, all right, you're picking 30th. There isn't going to be a receiver, in my opinion, that can come in and be the guy right away.
That is
even correct. Boston, who I think could be a really good player, isn't going to come in and be the best receiver in the room. And so, fourth round pick and a day 3 next year, like those are dart throws at best, as we know. So I think that would be a phenomenal trade. If I looked at, A.J. Brown's cap number coming over wouldn't be awful either. So wouldn't keep you from overcompensating the draft loss and what you'd be able to get in controllable picks that way to be able to utilize those funds to go get another guy. Am I off? Am I wrong? Or is there maybe even a better trade, a reasonable trade target at receiver that you think that the Broncos should go after?
No, I think A.J. Brown is the dude for me. I mean, I like, as much as I like DJ Moore, I worry that he is not a fit for this offense. I think he's good. I don't know that he's certainly not A.J. Brown level. And Brian Thomas, again, I don't know how available that guy is. So, but go get A.J. Brown. Give Bo Nix, and actually, I believe A.J. Brown is still a true number 1. I know he had a bad season last year, but I think A.J. Brown is still a true number 1. And you still have your second and third round picks to address needs. Like you can go get, a Jacob Rodriguez or Josiah Trotter at linebacker, or Max Clare or Eli Stowers at tight end if that's what your jam is. So I still think there is value to be had in the second and third round in this draft. But again, you have solidified your number 1 receiver. You still have Cortland Sutton as your 2, and now defenses has to account for both of them. Yep. So,
and remind you, his down year last year, which I would agree, he had 78 catches for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So even on his bad year, he's still pretty good. And when he's in his good years, or you saw him in the Super Bowl yesteryear, right? Just absolutely mossing Kansas City Chiefs players. And so you know that he's capable. I think we have the right culture in Denver to handle his personality, probably. I also think maybe he's not as bad of a personality as we think that he is. Maybe the Eagles offensive coordinator and that Jalen and playing with Jalen Hurts isn't that fun.
Yeah.
And we all wouldn't be fun too if we were told that we were going to be an asset to a team and then not utilized that way.
And again, it's not like DK Metcalf where he's punching fans. It's not like Rashee Rice where he's doing whatever the hell he's doing on Instagram. Yeah, and it's not Stephon Diggs who's partying on boats with questionable substances. So, I mean, how much of a head case are you willing to? I mean, he's not that much of a head case, in my opinion.
And and to me, it's like would I rather give up a first-round pick and get AJ Brown than sign Stephon Diggs as a free agent because of all of those things.
I think so.
That's something to think about. Assuming that it wouldn't be a 1-year deal. I think a 1-year deal, I'd take a free agent over a trade if things are comparable. But taking that out, having that be the caveat, I think is super impactful. And so if you were to guesstimate, do the Broncos get a 1A receiver when free agency opens? First 2 weeks, do they get a guy that upgrades that room, or are they left or found wanting?
I think they're going to go probably a little heavier on running back and a little less on receiver. So if I had to put money on it, I would say running back before receiver. So.
I agree. I think that unless they find the stomach to trade a first, which Sean Payton has done, George Payton not a fan of unless it's for Sean Payton. I agree. I think running back will get hit early and often. I think the egos in the room, they like the guys in that room, and unless there's really a significant upgrade, I don't know that they do. But we shall see. Anything to close up before we head out the door that you wanted to say before we see each other again next week?
No, man. I had a blast. It was fun, and if you have me back, I'll have more games. So.
Yep. Well, you know what? You're back next week. I just decided because you are awesome. We appreciate you all. Thanks for popping in. Big E, appreciate you chiming in. I know a bunch of folks who are watching but didn't pop in the comments, but glad you're watching anyway. And so for my man Chris and JT, who is out, who should be back next week-ish. This is your favorite podcast, the Mile High Sports Symposium. Wish you all a great rest of your day, phenomenal week. And if you need a script,
from football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire. So grab your crew, let's hit the show. My High Sports Symposium, let the good times flow.